Every time we open our mouths, especially if we're going to criticize someone or whatever, we think we're criticizing or making a statement about the person we're attacking. We're not. Every time we open our mouths, we're making a statement about
I was
ourselves.
wondering if you'd like to see us talking to Tony Blair, since I know you're British. It's a couple seconds.
Anyone who gives Tony Blair a hard time, he's got "I'm a con man" written in invisibility. Tony Blair is the most wonderful example of the soulless frauds and liars that are manipulated into public office. He's got a Prime Minister called David Cameron, who is Tony Blair Mark II. He's got a Deputy Prime Minister from another party, the Liberal Democrats. He's a mirror of Blair. And there's another guy, now leader of the Labour Party there, a guy called Ed Miliband, whose brother, David Miliband, is an absolute Blair clone. And it's the blueprint, and it's like smarmy, sleazy, slithery, what do I have to say in the moment? As someone said brilliantly of Tony Blair, he means it when he says it. And this is what they're trained to do. They're trained to believe what they're saying in the moment they say it, so they have some kind of apparent genuineness that comes through in the delivery, but they know it's a lie.
Every time we open our mouths, especially if we're going to criticize someone or whatever, we think we're criticizing or making a statement about the person we're attacking. We're not. Every time we open our mouths, we're making a statement about ourselves.
I was first told that Jimmy Savile was a paedophile in about 1997-98. They told me about the Satanism that went on in the royal family, the paedophilia, and all that stuff. And then out of nowhere, they brought up Jimmy Savile. And of course, I'm into a conversation about, the royal family, how they treated Diana, paedophilia and all this stuff. And suddenly Jimmy Savile comes out of nowhere, this aging disc jockey. And I obviously asked the question, where does he fit in? And they told me about it. Not just his paedophilia, but his necrophilia. He has a thing about having sex with dead people. And it was pointed out quite rightly to me, why do you think he volunteered to be a porter and a volunteer in hospitals, particularly the one in Leeds? Because it gave him access to mortuaries and dead people, basically. And if you look at some of the real most extreme, in and of itself it's extreme, but most extreme of paedophilia, one of the things that they desire that gives them the biggest high is sex with disabled people, either physically disabled or mentally disabled. And again, because of his charity work, he was able to have access to people like that, to children like that.
Every time we open our mouths, especially if we're going to criticize someone or whatever, we think we're criticizing or making a statement about the person we're attacking. We're not. Every time we open our mouths, we're making a statement about ourselves. The Kissingers and the Father Bushes and the David Rockefellers and the Queen Mother in England lived to 102, and the Queen in England now is well of age because they're not given the same treatment, health treatment the rest of us get. One of the bloody reasons, and also other things that they do which are very dark, satanic, and to do with the energy of children. But Father George Bush has not just been responsible for the most unspeakable, grotesque, unimaginable sexual abuse and torture of children using various electromagnetic technologies and such that cause enormous pain for the kids who were tortured. This guy's been responsible for the deaths of goodness knows how many children. But there is something about their genetics which has deleted empathy. It's deleted the ability to feel the consequences for others of your actions.
Every time we open our mouths, especially if we're going to criticize someone or whatever, we think we're criticizing or making a statement about the person we're attacking. We're not. Every time we open our mouths, we're making a statement about ourselves.
So I've said to people for nearly 20 years, don't look at these people and judge what they would do on the basis of what you would do, because it's not the same thing.
To work full-time for something that's actually costing him money rather than he's getting paid, that he's taking all this stuff that goes with it, no way. There's more. He's getting some. He's putting it in his pocket. That's got to be the answer. You know what they're saying? That guy would never do that because I would never do that. And if I wouldn't do it, then he can't be doing it. There's got to be a catch.
Present Queen's grandmother is a direct descendant from the sister of Vlad Dracul, on whom the Dracula stories are named. Are based. So Diana knew this. They are mind controlled to conduct these rituals in a certain way.
And these were taking place on royal properties in Scotland?
Yes, exactly, in Balmoral, and there's a particular place in Belgium which is known as the Mothers of Darkness Castle, which is funnily located in the same area that child murder and satanic ring was based, that came to light, clearly involving the establishment figures of Belgium. And she told me that she and another two of such people have told me the same story, that she was actually in Britain at rituals at which Diana was being abused in part of these rituals in a mind-controlled state.
That tells me something immediately about Michelle Obama, that she is willing to play that role. And I think that she's as much a fake, personally, as Barack Obama. And Barack Obama is one of the major fakes.
And every time we open our mouths, especially if we're going to criticize someone or whatever, we think we're criticizing or making a statement about the person we're attacking. We're not. Every time we open our mouths, we're making a statement about ourselves.
This hand, called the House of Rothschild, takes the money from the United States and hands it to this hand, called Israel of the House of Rothschild, and says, thank you very much.
We've had people saying, well, you know, we would, but, you know, we'd like to invest in it. Well, invest in terms of a return. Well, there ain't going to be a return, not shareholders or anyone else.
And so these kind of people, especially the Rothschilds, they are major, major players in this. They are the middlemen for the manipulation of this reality from these entities mostly outside of this reality. Michael Chertoff, Dov Zakheim, Rothschild Zionist, and people like Douglas Feith or Feith, Rothschild Zionist in the Pentagon, led by people like Richard Pearl, Rothschild Zionist, William Crystal, Rothschild Zionist, John Bolton, Rothschild Zionist, by Philip Zelikow, Rothschild Zionist, Alvin Hellerstein, Rothschild Zionist, David Froome, Rothschild Zionist.
Every time we open our mouths, especially if we're going to criticize someone or whatever, we think we're criticizing or making a statement about the person we're attacking. We're not. Every time we open our mouths, we're making a statement about ourselves.
Tony Blair is a yes sir, no sir, 3 bags full sir, how high would you like me to jump sir, frontman for the House of Rothschild. And if people think that's anti-Semitic, well actually anti-Semitic means anti-Arab by the way, then they'll have to take it and shove it somewhere where the sun don't shine. If they went to jail for what they have been responsible for, the House of Rothschild, they would have to reincarnate hundreds of times to complete the sentence.
Yeah, Father George Bush, yeah, he sounds benign when you say it, but if you knew his background, it would turn your stomach.
It does, actually, because I know he's involved in oil and bombs and all sorts of silly sod.
Yeah, and children, yeah.
Children?
Which I've exposed in my books in great detail.
Well, say that on the radio, that sounds bonkers. Go on, David. I'm not being dismissive. What? George Bush and children, what?
Oh, he's a notorious paedophile, Father George Bush.
Wow, there we go!
Yeah, absolutely.
Obviously not the views of the BBC, I obviously have to.
Does anyone really think that George W. Bush is running America? He probably couldn't tie his shoelaces, never mind run a country. Let me tell you this.
America is an open society, isn't it?
Oh, please.
It's not an open society.
I've got some seafront property in Birmingham, Terry, you might like to buy, mate, honestly. Please. Please.
David.
And they say I'm crazy and weird. America is an open society, my...
See how preposterous it is.
What, the fact that you think America's an open society?
No.
Absolutely ludicrous, Terry. I've never heard anything so stupid in your life.
Okay. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
I think that Terry genuinely didn't mean to be rude, but the audience, he seemed a little bit kind of, I don't know, sceptical, uncomfortable and odd.
Well, I don't think it would take much to make Terry sceptical about much, really, because I don't think his box is very large. But
well, actually, no, I happen to have met Terry.
Every time we open our mouths, especially if we're going to criticize someone or whatever, we think we're criticizing or making a statement about the person we're attacking. We're not. Every time we open our mouths, we're making a statement about ourselves.